I made a video about my experiences with Don and Matt and Ryan / SuperMega. It would mean a lot to me if you watched it. She says that, but then the video is 2 hours long, so... In November 2021, I was sexually assaulted by Don on the first night that we had met while dating. On the first night that we had met while dating. What does that even mean? Instantly incomprehensible. We were both staying at Matt Watson's house. He attempted to physically force me to give him oral sex, and the only reason it didn't happen was because I was forced to... He attempted to physically force me to give him oral sex, and the only reason it didn't happen was because I was forced to physically resisted him when he didn't listen to my verbal commands to stop. He tried to physically force me to perform oral sex on him, but I managed to resist. Simple. 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 I waited to confront Don until Creator Clash 2022! We're gonna keep it offline and never see him again. I needed a real life face-off with the man who tried to rape me. Okay? Special drama added to the Creator Clash docket. A boxing match. What's their beef? He tried to rape me. Now I need to fight. This is madness. Where I could keep it offline, then never see him again. What does she mean? She's gonna like... Oh, he tried to fucking force his cock down my throat. Now I'm gonna wait for the perfect moment. I'm gonna burn him, I'm gonna drop a zinger, and then walk away and then never talk to him again. Child! What the fuck is this? But then Dawn was invited to Matt's house in LA right before I moved to LA to stay in the house that they use as an office. But then Dawn was invited to Matt's house in LA right before I moved to LA to stay in the house that they use as an office. Is the house that they use as an office and Matt's house the same house? This is not English pilled. The Super Megaplex for SuperMega, Matt and Ryan McGee's YouTube channel. I called them before I got there to tell them what happened so I could avoid being around Dawn, but they gave me mixed messages. Ryan, one of support, and 2 days later Matt. Ryan, one of support, and 2 days later Matt. A phone call where he went into lawyer mode. And promptly explained to me that technically Dawn isn't an employee, so we don't have to do anything. Is she telling them to call the police? What does she mean? How SuperMega is his magnum opus, and how this would be very bad for them if anyone found out. Days later, they talked to Dawn privately at Matt's house, where they proceeded to explain to try and get his side of his story. Left the conversation with Dawn saying he didn't know what he did wrong, and Matt and Ryan deciding for me that Dawn and I just needed to talk things out in person. The day before I get to their office, Matt texted me and told me he sent Dawn there. The day before I get to their office, Matt texted me and told me he sent Dawn there. And I had to hide in the bathroom for him to leave. Is she underage? How old is she? Is this like a kid? Why is this so fucked? During my time at the office, every action was held against us, me and Rav, in silent until they felt appropriate to use them to kick us out, even though those things consisted of leaving to TN? What, Tennessee? Is TN Tennessee? TN, I visited my mom for her birthday, even though I bought a car, leaving town to work, Rav. Whoa! This is so fucked, it's destroying my brain to read it. During my time at the office, every action was held against us in silent until they felt appropriate to use them to kick us out, even though these things consisted of leaving to Tennessee while I visited my mom for her birthday, even though I bought a car. Leaving town to work. Rev's partner having attempted to take their life soon after I arrived, and me being still disturbed by what happened with Dawn and their reaction to it. Bro, if she talks like this, it's impossible to know whether she's consenting to something or not. We're all held against us, and they used it to gaslight us. They used it to gaslight us into being framed as lazy. They used it to gaslight us into being framed as lazy. Framed for laziness. What the... When we were working harder than normal to get the less work done due to having no place to work. Any action that wasn't looking for a place or going to see one, aka being faster to going away, were seen as bad when there was no sense of urgency placed upon us to begin with when we arrived. Staying at the office was uncomfortable, as they did not want us to be there after this event, and we ended up homeless as a result of them icing us out and refusing to communicate to us almost completely despite staying at their job. Even about crucial things like concerns about us living there or when they wanted us gone. Matt and Ryan instead delegated this responsibility to their employees, who we saw as friends, asking us to help them with chores around the house until they had them correspond in their stead about moving out. What is this insane? Anyone supporting her, I don't believe you know what she's even said. I don't believe anyone knows what this chick has said. Upon which we realized that was going on and saw ourselves out before we got kicked out. Maybe the most insane thing about this is how she was like, yeah, this guy tried to rape me, but I was going to zing him at Creator Clash. The real problem is being gaslighted into being looked at like lazy. What? Held them with chores around the house until they had them correspond in their stead about moving out. Upon which we realized what was going on and saw ourselves out before we got kicked out. Wait, so you left before being kicked out? They figured they were going to get kicked out, so they left. Is this what she just said? After this, we had no communication with them. We were robbed on the way out of and back from LA. We lost. When I was a kid, we had to walk to school uphill both ways, and we'd get robbed both ways. We lost almost everything we had, and we couldn't get our belongings from the office while living in the car and from hotel to hotel for a while because they weren't talking to us. I felt like I couldn't talk about what was going on with me for the past year because I'd have to explain things that Matt and Ryan clearly didn't want people to know. That's the end of the written part. Is this a kid who grew up playing Roblox? Is this a Roblox person? Okay, so she has... The thing is, she has receipts, but I cannot comprehend whether these receipts back up what she was saying or not, because I don't know what she was saying. Hey, I know you don't really want to hear from me, but I just want to say I'm sorry. About the trip and everything before that. I had no idea how you felt about things until you had to tell me in person, and even then I was too stupid to comprehend anything. No, based on her writing, I don't think it's comprehensible to normal humans, no. I just really wanted to say I'm sorry about putting you through this. All I can really say is that I didn't mean for this to turn out this way. Again, I'm sorry for everything. So there's a statement from Don. Don is the man accused of attempting to forcefully throat fuck her. Okay. I want to start this off by apologizing to Lex for any trauma she may feel regarding our past relationship and to everyone just finding out about this who feels like they were being lied to or kept in the dark. It's none of my fucking business. But if you're gonna share it, I'll read it. You can keep it from me if you want, but if you're gonna post this juicy shit, I'm gonna read it. So, in regards to what happened during November 2021, this is my side as... In regards to what happened during November 21, this is my side as to what happened. They're all fucking just goblinoids. They cannot speak.
WTF, did I just join?
Hello, PMP Shadow Ryu. There's been a sexual assault, allegedly. We're reading the statements of those involved. And then we're going to play with ants. Okay, we will play with ants, don't worry. It's fine. This game is a gifted game. The devs didn't give it to me, so the devs aren't going to show up and be like, holy fuck, why did we give this guy a copy? Lex and I were invited over by Matt to stay over at his place for a week. We had been intimate since day one, but on the third night, I had asked her for oral sex. She at first said no because she had a cold sore. Later I asked her again and she said yes, but to be careful not to be too rough. This frames it insanely differently to how she made it sound, okay? So what she said was that he fucking grabbed her and she had to judo chop him off of her. She had to violently get him away from her. She had to resist physically. She was forced. Later, I asked her again, and she said yes. During the intimate act, I had pushed down on her head, after which she recoiled and told me I was being too rough. I then profusely apologized, and we ended up watching TV and going to bed after. Things were normal for the rest of the week, until the trip was over and we went back home. During this time, I was under no impression that anything traumatizing had occurred. However, I realize now this was extremely upsetting for her. Our relationship seemed to have not changed. We were talking on Discord almost daily and planning future trips together. However, a couple of months later, when we met again during Creator Clash, During the trip, me and Lex stayed together in an Airbnb. Did she mention they stayed together for the creator clash thing? She just talked about seeing him there. I didn't realize they were going to be staying in an Airbnb together. And noticed that she was growing very distant towards me. I'd asked her about why she was distant and if everything was okay with her, but I was not given a straight answer. On the final day, she finally told me why she was so troubled. She told me I was too rough with her last time and that it had reminded her of her ex's behavior. I had tried to apologize for my behavior and we talked a little bit after, but after the conversation had ended, she had broken up with me and I left the Airbnb to stay with other friends. Wait! At this point, they were still together! I waited to confront Don until Creator Clash 2022, where I could keep it offline and then never see him again. Might want to mention this whole time you stayed in a fucking relationship. What the fuck? No, her shit is so sketchy and sus. The stuff she's leaving out? Actual madness. Broken, insane person. At this time I had contacted Matt and told him what had just gone down. Matt offered to fly me to LA. To stay at his place to figure things out. At his house I explained to him and Ryan what had happened and the details about the November trip and what she had told me about Creator Clash. After that I was staying over at his place for the next couple of weeks. Later Matt told me that he had made some arrangements for his friends to sleep over at his place, moving me to stay at the office. A couple of days at the office had passed when Matt called me and said that Lex was on her way to the office. That's kind of fucking funny. Wait, the person who was fucked over here is Dawn. Wait, Dawn calls Ryan and is like, my girlfriend, like, broke up with me and said I reminded her of her ex and said I was too rough or whatever. Matt goes, okay. Sorry, not Ryan. Matt goes, okay, Dawn, fly over here to figure things out. Surprise, Dawn! This girl's coming to the office where I've put you! No! Dawn is the victim of this shit. That's fucking crazy. A couple days at the office had passed. When Matt called me and said that Lex was on her way to the office, I was given no prior notice that she was going to be there or moving to LA. It was at this time I decided to leave to stay with other friends in the area. After a week I had flown back to Germany. I was then contacted by SuperMega that they were not going to be using my art anymore. After that they had cut contact with me and I have not heard from them since. Following this, I had decided to send Lex another apology via Discord, but had gotten no reply from her. At this time, I had accepted that I was not going to hear back from Lex or SuperMega for the foreseeable future. Well, have they got rid of him? What the? Wait, did they do that just now? They didn't do that just now, did they? After a week, I had flown back to Germany. Okay, so a week after what he just said, he was no longer going to be used. Wait, what does she want them to do? She said he did this, they cut him off and got rid of him from their business, from working with him in any capacity or having any contact. Wait, what does she want? What can they even do? Did she want SuperMega to like put out a Dawn is a rapist video? Folks, I'm so sorry. I watched the video. 1.25? I'm thinking 1.5. I've seen a little bit of this. She speaks very fast. No, the opposite. The absolute opposite.
Have you ever kept a secret for someone else that you didn't need to? If you haven't, good, don't do that. But if you have,
That you didn't need to. Okay.
I know what that's like now. For the past year and a half, almost 2 now, been keeping a secret that I didn't need to for someone else's sake. And that someone else was someone very close to me, as was the person who hurt me. At no point was I supported enough to even be incentivized to keep a secret for them, but I did out of loyalty.
So a year and a half ago.
Because they didn't have any for me.
Yeah, I can turn this up.
I think I was just too naive to see that. By the time I did realize that it was too late to do anything. In November of 2021, I met him for the first time, like while we were dating. Don, that is, at Matt's house. He invited us both over at the same time. Since he lived in Germany, our only method of talking was Discord. And he didn't like talking to me one-on-one, so I'd have to...
Since he lived in Germany, the only way they could talk was Discord, and he didn't like talking to her one-on-one.
To talk in like his friends' group chats to talk to him all the time, so we weren't like as close, really. It was kind of weird.
He didn't want to be alone with you, even online.
Getting to see him in person, I didn't like hold anything against him. I was just happy to see him. But I think, I don't know. I guess I say that because a lot of what is wrong in this story is that I'm a people pleaser.
Yo, number one strategy of a predator, they never want to be alone with you. Number one predator strats, never be alone with your victim.
And it's not, I'm not blaming myself for any of this, but I don't know. I just need to say it. The first night that we like say goodnight to everyone else, that Matt, I think it was just Matt at this point. Don sexually assaulted me. He like physically was like forcing me, like attempting to physically force me to give him oral. And the only reason why it didn't work was because I like physically like pushed him away multiple times. When you're in a long distance relationship with someone, you have to get to know someone. Like, I feel like I'm a pretty direct person, and aside from what this situation is like turned me into, I guess, but I feel like when this happened, I was like, especially this particular situation.
So the thing that makes this sus is she's saying that he was this was not like, you know, him pressuring her and her not pushing him away enough or a strong enough signal. Like, this isn't just him like disrespecting her vibes or whatever. She's claiming that he tried to brutally rape her using his physical strength, and she had to fight him. Go to the police. 100% police. The thing that is bizarre is how extreme what she's claiming happened is, with how mildly she's talking about it, and she wants repercussions that are based on what? Social clout? I guess we'll find out what she wants. The guy got like cut off from the SuperMega gig he had. Like, apart from that, no. Like, if this is a guy who's grabbing people, trying to brutally force their head onto his genitals, he should be like locked up.
I was like, no, I don't want to. I don't want to do this. And he kept telling me like, just do it. And like multiple times while he was like trying to force my head down, and he's like way bigger than me. I don't know. I was really freaked out after that. So eventually he let me go, but I just kind of shut down and just went with like whatever else he wanted that night. And like for the rest of the trip, I didn't know what to do in that situation. Calling the cops is like what someone would say, right? But like, it's a guy from Germany. How is that gonna work? Like, I know that they can go to jail, but like actually like getting someone in trouble would just be a whole like thing.
She didn't report him to the police because he's from Germany? Not. I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. I was in a state where I didn't know what to do. She didn't report him to the police because he's from Germany, and she thought him going to jail wouldn't be enough. This isn't true. This can't be fucking true. This either isn't true, or by default, any sex with her is rape because she's retarded and incapable of consent. This is insane. This is insane.
I didn't want to deal with that, and it was at my friend. I was scared that like somebody may have like would like find his address or something if I like called. Like, I don't know. All these were just thoughts like after too, because
what?
I was scared that like somebody may have like would like find his address or something if I like called. Like, I don't know. All these were just.
You think the police are gonna like dox him? The police are gonna like post on their Twitter, yo, we found out where SuperMega live. That guy was super right to not be alone with her, but he shouldn't have been alone with her in real life either. Rice? Done. Okay, I'll tell you what. You got me. This is juicy and enraging enough that I might just watch a bit more.
I remember after I like went with the other stuff he wanted to do, he like choked me on my windpipe. Like, he was like trying to choke me in a sexy way, but he was like choking me, and I was like breathing like very audibly, like not well. And I think at this point I was too scared to like say anything, and I didn't think he would.
He tried to brutally rape you. To be clear, the claim is he tried to brutally rape you, and you fought him off. 2, having been intimidated with that, you agreed like out of fear to have sex with him or do whatever else, and while that was occurring, he was trying to choke the life out of you. If this is true, he should be in prison. If this actually happened, he should be in prison. This is not for fucking YouTubers to deal with. Insane. Madness.
Don had been talking about it with me. He had been asking SuperMega about filing papers to get a green card. So once again, he asked Matt, and him and I were walking up the stairs to Matt's living room, and Matt responded something along the lines of like, why don't you guys just get married? To which Dawn seemed like reciprocal to the idea.
She's saying they were trying to like use her to get him a green card. Yes. That is indeed what's that is indeed what's happening.
I was sitting next to Don on the couch talking to him. I asked him to look something up, and he pulls out his phone next to me. And the first Google first Google like past search result before he like starts typing in too many words is an artist sex worker's, like a mutual of ours, OnlyFans leak. She's kind of a similar build to me, so I'm like double hurt. I got upset at him before we dated the time then. He had essentially used me for nudes. I had a not safe for work Patreon, and he used to sub to it when we weren't dating anymore. And so I kept like a boundary with him over it because I was mad at him. Not
What?
necessarily mad at him, but he was my ex. I didn't want to talk to him. And gradually he like pushed that boundary over. It's my fault.
What does that mean? You sell not safe for work stuff and he bought it? You're selling a product. Wait. Because she talks so fucking schizo and all over the place. She was talking about keeping a barrier, Ashray. Is she now saying that the way he pushed himself over was he convinced her to keep giving him nudes?
Hurt because my self-esteem has been destroyed the night I got there. I got upset at him before we dated the time then.
I got upset at him before we dated the time then.
Had essentially used me for nudes.
Because he'd used her for nudes.
I had a not safe for work Patreon, and he used to sub to it when we weren't dating.
When they weren't dating, he paid her for her nudes.
Anymore. And so I kept like a boundary with him over it because I was mad at him. Not necessarily.
Kept a boundary over it. What does keeping a boundary over it mean? What does that mean? Did she say don't sign up? And then he signed up anyway? No. If you produce media and put it out there for anyone to buy, sorry, he can buy it. Unless you have a way of forcefully blocking. You can't be like, yo, this person, I don't want to see me nude, but I mass publish my shit. I don't know. Weird.
Mad at him, but he was my ex. I didn't want to talk to him. And gradually he like pushed that boundary over.
He pushed the boundary over. What is the fucking boundary?
It's my fault for not having any. I think he also knew that he could. He like unsubbed from my Patreon at one point when we were talking normally enough, and he
unsubbed from her Patreon. Was her boundary that he had to be subbed to her Patreon? What does this fucking mean? Explain yourself.
Like would message me and ask me if it would be okay if I would send him like the files from the Patreon. And I would be like, you mean like the old ones that you're sub to? And he was like, no, like new ones, or like all of them. I didn't want to, but my boundaries were so poor. I said, yeah, anyway. Like at this.
But my boundaries were so poor. He asked you for nudes and you sent him nudes. I don't think that's a boundaries thing. A boundaries thing will be tolerating him saying it at all. Giving someone something they request is like actively being involved in it. That's enthusiastic consent, bro. That's beyond going no or being okay with him asking. That's him asking and you reciprocate. What the? At
this point, we had talked enough that I thought he liked me, so I was trying not to assume poorly of him, because I just genuinely didn't think he would do that, and then he did. So he was like letting me leak my own nudes to him, and then looking up.
It's not a leak if you own it and are willingly sending it. What?
And then looking up a mutual's nudes of someone who looks very similar.
Whoa. He looked at the nudes, he asked me for nudes, and he looked at them. And at the same time, he looked up the nudes of a mutual friend, who also publishes nudity of themselves. A consumer of pornography that's independently published by women he knows consumed even more pornography independently published by a woman he knows. Yeah, sounds about right. What you mean?
Of someone who looks very similar. So at that point, after what had happened, I just kind of, I don't know, I felt kind of soulless. So if I knew he was about to announce, or like not announce, or like casually mention that we were dating in a podcast, wouldn't I want him to mention that? Like of course I would, right? But instead, I interrupt him. I interrupted him, and I made him stop, and I told him, like, I just made a joke or something. I think I said, like, I'm gonna kill you. If you are that likes their podcast or I've watched it before.
Fair. That can be a joke, but I didn't expect that to be the line. It just caught me off guard.
I was thinking to myself all the time that I knew like he was just using me. And I feel like a 90-day person when I say this, but like either like for sex or a green card or both. I just feel like I fit into his plan and it's less so about me.
For sex or a green card, I fit into his plan. I'm still just... I get someone being in a situation maybe where they're manipulated or pressured and they come to terms with, wait, I actually didn't want to go along with that or whatever. Like, that wasn't right. She's talking about him brutally manhandling her and forcing her head to his crotch and her having to physically fight him to stop it. Do you come out of that like, oh, I didn't realize that wasn't good? I can't wrap my head around that. I hope Don gets what's coming to him. If you believe her, he's a brutal rapist. It's not a case of what's coming to him. It's, I hope he is behind bars. What is this it's like they are saying they believe it, but their reaction belies what they really think, because they're not reacting as someone who believed a brutal rape had occurred.
January, the epic SMP happened, the Minecraft thing happened. I was at Matt's during that time as well, streaming. There's VODs of those, but it's mostly just me wandering Don around, trying to get him to talk to me, because at this rate, he wasn't, like, hanging out with me still. Last time I mentioned it was in January. Man, being with him destroyed my self-esteem. This conversation is actually during Minecraft SMP. I said, maybe next time we have alone time might be a good idea to play something else. Or not, I'm not the boss of you. I suggest playing something because that was the only way he would talk to me. He said, yes, I'm sorry. No, like, yeah. Next time I should really just let alone time be alone time. And I said, I
feel like I have to compete with others for your attention. I don't want to make you feel like that. Let's talk again soon, okay? Really like talking to you today. I love you very much. I might skip Minecraft tomorrow.
I often feel like I have to compete with others for your attention. Not your fault, really. My brain was so rotted, dude. Normal boyfriend things. I really liked talking to you today. Okay, yeah, because like I was so defeated. I was just like, okay. I think I understand why all of what 2022 happened, I let happen because I'd been with.
She seems clingy and pushy. He doesn't seem like he's not pursuing her. This is weird. She's claiming he's trying to use her for sex or to get a green card. But all we're seeing is him basically being like, stay away from me. Just being like, fine, I'll talk to you. Get away from me, get away from me, get away from me, get away from me. Like, not trying to... I would expect an abuser to be love bombing her, right? Just absolutely hammering her with like hyper positivity, gifts, whatever. Anything to make her go along with what he wanted, and then when he gets what he wants, then switch. And fuck off.
I mentioned explicitly about how it would remind me of, quote, the thing with group calls where I'd hop in just to spend
with group calls where I'd hop in just to spend time with you, and I'd not actually be interested in socializing with other people. She's describing her urge to isolate him from his friends to demonstrate how he's an abuser. Oh no. Reminds me of the thing where you wouldn't immediately abandon all your acquaintances when I wanted to talk to you.
I stayed home in April to save up money for Creator Clash. During all that planning, I made it a point to make sure that Don was going to stay with us, because something feels wrong. Feeling never went away. And I was starting to put pieces together what it was. And it was getting too hard to like hold on and not talk about, because I hadn't told anyone.
So she wanted him to be with them because of that.
Okay. It felt like a lie to me. I don't know why. It's funny. It's 10 years ago this year. I had actually called someone out before.
Nashville Hot
a bit
Chicken,
over a year
man.
after it happened, because I also didn't process it. But it was also with an ex-boyfriend. I was 17 and he was 21, and I also told him no the whole time, and he still kept going. So it felt like I was like reliving something I'd gone through before. And when that happened, I was somebody posted art on Facebook at the time, so that was like my online presence. And we had a lot of mutual friends, and so I was scared of him, and I mustered up the courage to like talk about what happened, because I had watched him for long enough that I was like, I don't think he's different. I don't think, because he apologized to me when it happened and all that, but nothing ever changed.
Wait, the original boyfriend?
I could just tell nothing was different. And after I had not been with him anymore, he was still like just very creepy with other people in the same way he was with me. This was 2013, I think. Yeah.
She's 20. Yeah. If she was 17 in 2013, 27, 28. The fuck? I actually think this puts things in a different light, because she is clearly literally like mentally retarded. So like actually I would presume like diagnosably stunted. Even if look, I don't think she can consent. I'm just gonna say it. Real talk. I don't believe what she says happened. However, imagine pursuing her for sex. Wouldn't do it. Because I'd be like, that's like fucking a kid. I don't know, dude. At the same time as I don't think she's telling the truth, you shouldn't.
Like, I was planning on having him come to the Airbnb. My thought process was, if I could just talk to him in real life about this, there wouldn't be a need to do any of this. He lives in Germany. I live in the South at this point. You just have to go so out of the way to like bump into each other that way that there was no harm in me just like pulling him aside at some point and being like, hey, you remember this? It wasn't cool. Let's not talk anymore, or whatever, whatever.
She wanted to meet him in person and stay with him so that she could say, hey, you raped me. I don't want to talk to you anymore. If he actually did that, I don't think you should be confronting your brutal, violent rapist alone. This is insane. It's either not true or she's certifiable, like should not be allowed outside level. Is there just a generation that's incapable of interfacing with reality in a way that isn't through misapplied tropes? They're like meme people. They can't take things for what it is. They have to find like the nearest trope and be like, my life is like this story. It goes like this. I feel like even if something brutal had been done to her, it would be like, instead of really being like a bad thing that had happened, it would be turned into a thread. It would be woven into like, the story of my life goes like this now, and this trope here, or I need to confront him. Because that will give the character that I'm writing, that's me, the closure she needs.
I cooked everybody steak. And then
Don't
by the time all
it.
this was over, everybody
If she cooks it, don't eat it. You're getting sick.
was pretty tired, so everybody went home or went to sleep pretty quickly. And it was after that I told Don. I pulled him aside. We went on a walk around the neighborhood the Airbnb was in. I was basically like, hey, do you remember November when we first hung out? And he was like, yeah. I basically asked him questions that necessitated him saying yes or no to, because I wanted it to be easy for me, and I wanted it to be easy for him because I didn't want it to take too long. I didn't think it needed to for me to tell him the way I was going to tell him. So I said, you remember the first night when you were like pushing my head down and I was telling you no? Yes, he says, basically. He like didn't dispute anything that I said. He was just saying yes. And I was like, that's sexual assault, right? Like, you can't do that to people. Like, that wasn't cool that you did.
Did she ask him, hey, do you remember when you grabbed my face and ripped me towards your crotch, trying to face fuck me by force, and I had to fight you off? Do you think she asked that?
I've been like really like messed up that you did that. I like have to like get better from this. This is something that I'm like having to recover from because it's making me not well. Like, basically explain to him all but like a baby that sexual assault is bad and that what he did was that and that you can't do it. Because all it would have taken is for me to have been like, no, I don't want to, and for him to stop, but he didn't. Nonetheless, so I say all this, and he says, so does that mean you're breaking up with me? And I was like, what? Yeah. To me, it was like, yeah, no. And that.
Wait, they were still in a relationship at that point? Wait, so she was meeting up with him to dump him and say, you raped me, I'm dumping you, I don't want to talk anymore. And wait, this shit was what, a year and a half ago? So she was over 25 behaving like this?
Out of everything I said was both the shortest response I had to say, or like the shortest thing I had to say to him, and the most devastating. We're on a sidewalk, like we're walking, and I'm like, no, I don't want to be with you. And he stops directly under the streetlight and does this for like a minute in front of me. I don't know. It felt so performative, and maybe it was actually sad.
Felt so performative. To what audience? You're the one recording a video. What? It's just you and him. This is what I'm saying about the tropes and the memes. Everything has to fit into one, but she's too stupid to accurately categorize things, so she's just calling things the closest thing she can think of.
I'm sure he was bummed out, at least, but I don't know. It was so surreal. I like considered taking a picture of him, but I was like, that's not morally right to do. Right before Creator Clash, I found out my dog, Teddy, he had a mouth tumor, and it was getting pretty bad pretty quickly.
This is meant to be a video about how she fought off an attempted brutal rape, but she's pumping it. She's pumping it with every sad thing she can. She's overwhelmingly pumping it with other things that are sad. I think just to make viewers feel like they're so sad, and then have the feeling carry them through everything else.
As that span of time occurred, every time I'd look at my phone, I'd notice things were going on in LA. Like, why is Don in LA? I thought he was going back to Germany. Turns out Matt invited Don to stay with him after Creator Clash, after he was done staying in Florida and I think maybe somewhere else. It occurs to me that I'm going to need to talk to more people about the Don thing, what happened with him, to give context to why I don't want to see him. I called Ryan because I don't know, maybe I was scared to call Matt. I messaged Ryan and I said, hey, are you free for a call right now? At like 10:30. I said, it's pretty late, so if not, it's fine. He said, sure, call if you want. Calling with Ryan made me feel even better because he immediately apologized.
Okay.
He was like, I'm so sorry that happened. So I hadn't gotten many reactions at all so far, so this was, at this point, a good one. He went into detail just saying like,
I feed on apologies. I only feel good when people are apologizing. It's weird that she... Actually, that is weird. It's weird that people say sorry when it's not an apology. Right? When I say, I'm really sorry about what happened to your dog, that's not an apology. Him saying, like, I'm sorry about that regarding her allegedly being abused, she's classifying that as an apology, which suggests she believes he took responsibility for. Am I about right?
You know, what he did was wrong and he deserves, you know, to be held accountable for what he did. Stuff that you generally would want to hear, I think. I felt a lot better after I talked to him. I don't know why or how, but somehow I had no dialogue with Matt for 2 days after my call with Ryan. My call that made me feel a lot better. And my call with Matt was probably the worst thing I could have imagined. For me, my perspective is, this guy stayed at your house. I'm coming to LA to stay at your office. He did this to me at your house. You deserve to know what he did, the guy staying at your place, did to me at your house.
She's saying deserve to know, but very accusatorily stating it happened at your house.
Like, it just made sense to tell him more than anyone. So then when Matt calls me 2 days later, 2 nights later, I tell him what happened, and he tells me, oh man, this is a bummer. Like, this sucks. Like, right after the Jackson thing, this year is just so crazy already. Like, there's so much going on. And now this, let's not mince words here. I told him what happened, said what I said to you just now about how I think he deserved to know because it happened in his house. And I told him that I didn't want to see him because he's at his house. So I knew that if there's going to be anybody with the power to keep me from seeing Dawn in person again, it was him. So of course I tell him. He said to me, after I told him about his friend that sexually assaulted me, his friend and employee, he said, SuperMega is my magnum opus, and I would hate for something to mess it up. He said that multiple times.
This is an interesting thing that probably happens a lot. Probably people who are treated very well for a lot of their life, and then come up against people who are hard as fuck. Really, really hard people. If this is the first time she's encountered someone like this, and she's a bit off, I could get this being scary, but it's like, yeah. Like, do you understand? Like, hard-driven people aren't going to give a fuck even if they believe he did brutally rape. They don't care, dude. Oh, no. It's like it's a generation of people who believe the cancel culture stuff is done from a place of sincere care. It's the people who think it's real, who don't think it's just like a cynical strategy. Bro.
They tried to like big bro him about sexual assault basically, but he didn't understand. Like, they weren't clear enough to say like what exactly they were talking about to begin with. And so they walked away from that conversation as if they...
I bet she was scattered enough talking to them that they couldn't be clearer because they didn't know what the fuck she was talking about. Like, I don't know what the fuck she's saying half the time.
Every action from them was masked as disciplinary, but it was more like scolding. Like, you're just like...
It wasn't disciplinary, it was a scolding. What do you mean?
I felt them downplaying it in real time, but I was across the state.
I have to answer if you don't want to talk about it, but is there a reason you don't have the job anymore / got kicked out of the place? They just said they're not going to have me do the thumbnails, they're very vague. Jesus, that sucks. You've been with them so long, that's not shit you go vague about. Done with YouTubers, done with everything, can't get a rest because once I get time to myself I start thinking about it. They fired him. Wait, she's upset that they didn't discipline him. She's upset that they fired him, but didn't, like, treat him like their child. They have no authority to do that. Like, they could say shit to him. They could do it, but it's not... And you could... I can understand if you had an expectation that they'd do it, you to be upset with them on a personal level that they didn't do what you think is right. However, it's not something you hold them accountable for because they're not in a position of authority where they have a duty to do that. That's a between you and them thing. I don't get it.
I get there, and I don't think Dawn is there, And then I hear him. I hide in the bathroom, like after putting my shit up, because I didn't think he was there. The place is kind of big. The office is a house. So it made sense, like when I was offered to stay there, I was like, oh yeah, sure, until I actually stayed there and realized every room is being used. But regardless, I had to hide in the bathroom when I realized Don was there. I hid in the bathroom
But he's like, half of you complaining about him is him not wanting to be alone with you and staying away from you.
And I stayed in there.
I don't think you have that much to worry about.
Until Don came up to the bathroom to try and use it. And I was in there. I had the door locked.
This fucking man, he wanted to drop the kids off at the pool. Sus behavior. Who shits on a day like this?
He tried pulling it he tried turning it a few times and couldn't. And he knocked and he said hello, and I didn't answer. I was too scared to say anything. I didn't know what the fuck to say. I didn't even expect to see him ever again. I hear him realize it's me. I'm sure he'd been told.
Can we just talk about how fucking stupid it is to hide in the bathroom of a building with tons of people in it if you don't want to run into people? It's a guarantee that you're going to run into people.
That I was going to be there, but he says something twice. He's like, hello? He's like, anybody in there? And then all of a sudden he stops trying, and I hear him like inhale or exhale or something, and then he goes to the other bathroom. And then afterwards he got arrangements to leave very quickly, and I hadn't seen him since. He could have been like gone if you told him a date. You could have been like, go home by this date. He could have taken commissions or something, free will. Matt could have done all that with Don and not had me see him. But instead he was doing stuff like posting Jim's cat sitting on Don just a few days before I get there. 6 days before I get there. So Don's gone at this point. Vibes are fucked in the office.
Bro, my man's dick doesn't come far enough out of his folds to rape anyone.
Don was staying on the couch, so I don't want to stay there because I know what Don smells like, and it smells like him. So Rav's already been staying in the game room. It's like this huge futon, so I just put all my shit in there with him. So from day one, it was fucking weird for multiple reasons. It was weird because I think people got the wrong idea from me staying in the game room. People were uncomfortable by me because of
You said Don wasn't here, but I can smell him.
I just spent the whole day cooking. Spent all day cooking, blah, blah, blah. Everybody gets kind of lit. Most people leave. And I'm in the kitchen, and Jim is there. Jim is
stoned?
An employee at SuperMega. I had considered us a buddy. So he walks up to me after dinner and everything. It's probably gonna be like 10 or 11. And he's like, I noticed you've been feeling down lately. I said something about how he's been like watching me or something. We went from the kitchen, right outside the kitchen, to the living room and sat on the couch Dawn was sleeping on.
Sat on the couch that Dawn, her rapist, was sleeping on?
When he sits down on the couch next to me
that moment?
Then lays down and stretches out, I'm like, he's just being silly. So I tell him the whole story. I tell him everything that happened, up until then. I'm pretty sure I even said about that Don was there at the office and all that, just because he came to me asking why I looked upset a lot. So of course that's all the reasons. When he heard my story, he was like, man, I'm so sorry, and then proceeded to start flirting with me right.
Did he? I swear to God, is she gonna say he knew it smelled like Dawn, so he was rubbing himself over it so he'd smell like Dawn? He was absorbing his essence to then release it at me? Is this...
After. This is when I realized, because I was doing most of the talking, that after I was done with the story and he started talking, he started saying flirty things, and he started putting me in a headlock, that I was like, oh.
What?
Drunk. And pretty much right after I realized that, he started kissing me. If you've ever seen a picture of Jim, he's a really tall guy. It was not even in my brain to be like, get this guy off of me, or not get this guy off of me. Yes, I didn't want to kiss him, because to me, this guy I am not that close friends with. We are just from the same place, and I thought he wanted to get to know me better. Listens to my sexual assault story and then makes out with me. At this rate, I'm just kind of stun locked. I had no idea what he's doing. I don't know if there's even any other people in the place. I think there was
making out with her. He got her in a headlock and started kissing her, and she specifies he was making out with her, which to me means he was kissing her on the lips. He got her in a headlock and then was kissing her deeply on the lips. Is this physically possible? I'm not sure.
He gets up and then goes to the office, and he's like, come here. I don't even remember thinking anything. I was literally just confused. And because when he said that, he was in the office, but he was in the closet. And when I came over to him, because I was just...
He went and he hid in the closet? What do you mean?
I was like, in my head, I'm thinking, why is this guy just went to the office closet? The office where everybody has their computers, and there's a coat closet, and you just go in there and stand in the doorway and give me a kiss. Again, I didn't even have a reaction. I just didn't know what the fuck that was. And then after that, I was like, do you like me or something? Because I genuinely just so it came out of nowhere. Like I said,
there are some people who think they're in they live inside of a movie. They think they're the main character of a movie. She thinks she's the main character of a film adaptation of a young adult novel.
We all went to his living room. He has 3 couches, and we were all sitting on one each by ourselves. And Jim essentially immediately went to sleep. I have a picture of it. Hold on. Jim just immediately fell asleep as soon as we got there. That night was weird.
Now she's sharing pictures she took of people who were asleep. I don't know, that one's weird. That's real weird. I caught this guy sleeping. Here's a photo. Let me show you. Like, what does that prove of any significance? He went to sleep. Look at him sleeping. Then he went to the bathroom, and there was a little streak on the back of the bowl where it didn't all get washed away, and he didn't notice. Look, here's a picture. Who cares? Notice, no, she's doing the thing. She's doing the fucking thing that woman did with Quentin Reviews, where she's providing as much evidence as she can, but it's evidence for shit that doesn't fucking matter. But that doesn't matter because people will see, oh, she has this receipt, she has this receipt, she has this receipt, she has this receipt, and they'll just look at the number of receipts she has and not recognize that they don't fucking mean anything.
One thing that did come up was Matt offered to pay for me to live somewhere, like down payment plus several months, which if you're in LA, if you know anything about the housing market in LA, is an exorbitant amount of money. Jim's asleep next to us, just me and him in his living room, and he says this. Most freaked out I think I've ever been by him, aside from the
Bro, literally anywhere, that's crazy.
phone call, obviously. I immediately said no. At this point, I didn't fully distrust him. I just had a gut feeling that no one gives you that amount of money for no reason without something to gain from it. It felt like a bribe. That's at least like, I don't know, the way he was saying it, that's at least like 10K. And like, regardless of how much it means to him or not, I didn't want it. I felt like weirded out that he did that. He was saying this so I could live alone in LA. Like specifically apartment money for me to live alone.
She's mad at this guy? Exposed. Man offers woman who confides in him that she was sexually assaulted. He offers her tons of money so that she can live alone and not have to worry about being in a situation around people she's scared of or who might hurt her or who have hurt her. That's what he's being exposed for?
We had a plan to go to Gatlinburg, the Smoky Mountains, for my mom's birthday. Go there. We're in the middle of our trip, and I think about day 3 or 4, Rav's partner, we find out, had attempted to take her own life. And Rav's context, his backstory, is that he's from the UK. He had just moved and done tour and was just going to move to LA. He'd just gotten divorced, but they were still close. They weren't even like finalized. They had just started the paperwork. They were just separated basically. And when that happened, it broke Rav. Like it went from him consoling me to what was wrong with me to me consoling him because he was so destroyed from that we like had to take turns carrying each other's weight essentially instead of sharing mine, which was kind of our overarching situation. Like my situation.
Wait, is she annoyed that he was, am I understanding this right? His girl tried to kill herself? And now she's like, oh, look what this did to me. It was supposed to be about me. No, she's not fucking dating no fucking way. She's not dating the guy whose girlfriend or wife or whatever tried to kill herself. And then she's complaining that he was upset about that and not fully carrying her burden. It's like borderline personality disorder jump scares. You know, you're playing a horror game that has jump scares. It can't just throw the jump scares at you endlessly because you get desensitized. If it just goes, you're not going to be scared. There have to be like dull bits. And so she goes on her like schizo winding rambles. And then suddenly she'll be like, oh, and then he put me in a headlock and shoved me into the BO of my rapist that had seeped into the couch. She's got to ramble and keep it like smooth and boring so that she can hit you with those jump scares.
When we were out, I would take pictures. And those pictures ended up surprisingly popping off and making me the money I was making last summer. Because I couldn't, at the SuperMegaplex, do regular work. Like, I can't set up a photo set station for myself and, like, take photos in clothes that I wouldn't feel comfortable wearing around the guys at the office, for example. So me getting, like, a desk or making a workspace just wasn't an option. And I didn't know that until after I got there. And, like, after I'd been there a bit, you know, the birthday stuff happened, AX is about to come up, and I start realizing, like, how am I going to get work done? I don't have a place to work. My brain's broken, so it's making it harder to think about shit, just in general. Not that that's an excuse, it just is just the facts of, like, what is going on with me at that time. I'm, like, brainstorming all the time on, like, what to do, and the easiest thing I can think of is just to not be at the office. The office is dirty. I'm often cleaning up maggot-infested pizza boxes. I'm doing stuff that maids get paid to do.
Cleaning up, specifically often maggot-filled pizza boxes. Hey man, maybe it was just a Casu Marzu pizza. The maggots are supposed to be there. They add texture.
And every time I was gone and made plans, it was strategic. It was like, all right, while we're here, we're going to do this, that, and this, and I'm going to take pictures here, this, and here. Everything was so meticulously planned except for the locations because I just stumbled upon them. So I would just wear a maid outfit all day, drive around, find a spot, and that would be how I'd make money, is take a picture wherever I would end up traveling to. And I just was just getting lucky. But there was...
You weren't getting lucky, you were doing soft porn. Is she one of these people who does soft porn and like, oh, it's my art, it connects with people. I find a vista and I place myself in the scene. It's because it's soft porn. It really doesn't matter where you took the picture. I'm pretty sure.
Were gone. 2 weeks for my mom's birthday. So I suffered because of having to rush from knowing I was going to be asked, instead of them just either giving me a date to leave by or asking me like, do you know when you can be gone by? Instead, they would just say, you guys on a vacation again? Insinuating that we're doing it only for fun. It was never like, maybe they don't want to be around us or something.
Yeah, they want you the fuck out of the office. And you got offered accommodation paid for to just get the fuck out.
Put Jim in a group chat with us to get Jim to ask us, quote, like, going on another vacation? When are you guys going to be back? At this point, they start calling them vacations. I felt as if, like, the things that I knew they saw in my timeline were clearly just being ignored because, like, I was obviously doing work. Even if you can't see Rav's music that he's making because it hasn't been released yet, I've been doing stuff. Every day on my timeline last year, you see me and I'm posting in a different state, getting, like, tens of thousands of likes, hundreds of thousands of likes. I'm not even trying to gloat. It was, like, amazing. That was the only thing at that time that I was excited about because everything else in my life.
Is that under their brand? There's something I'm not aware of or not understanding. Are they giving her a place to stay, and she's not doing any work for them? She's doing work for herself? No, she's not making porn for SuperMega. Yeah, but, like, she's making it seem like their problem was with her not doing any form of work or pursuing any kind of profession. Presumably their issue is, you're not fucking doing work for us. It's like, imagine you ditch your office job and you start doing art commissions and they're like, are you fucking on vacation again? And you go, no, I was doing art commissions. They don't care. That doesn't matter.
I'm not completely happy with how I handled myself last summer because I was out of it. And honestly, I think I needed someone to talk to me and be like, hey, you good? It doesn't seem like you're doing well. Outside of like saying that they're making out with me.
Yeah, but people know what you're like if you're shown any attention and they don't want that. From what she's shown, it seems like people don't fucking want anything to do with her on any sort of one-to-one level.
It was Jim and I in the group chat, Rav, and Matt. Matt said nothing, just was supervising. Just didn't say anything. Yo, just heard y'all were taking another vacation. Wonder if there are any updates on the expected move-out date? Hope the search has been...
Is she actually retarded? They want you out. You're not doing anything towards getting out. She's complaining now about them being soft and nice enough to give her the opportunity to choose a date she'd be comfortable with. They want you fucking, or wanted you fucking gone.
I must reiterate this. Matt and Ryan were avoiding us. Ever since we got back from the Smokies, they had purposely not hung out with us. The only time they really did is if they wanted to smoke weed because they knew that since we hung out in the garage all the time, like delinquents, to stay out of their way, and we're out there smoking weed and getting bit by mosquitoes all the time, we would probably have weed with us.
So you spent all your time at this place they let you stay, just smoking weed out in the garage. This can't be the picture she means to be painting of herself. Yeah, why did they want me gone? Jesus Christ.
That day that I got robbed and I posted about it, no one that I knew in LA messaged me. No one. Actually, I think Matt's ex messaged me. If anyone messaged me, it was her. The only person out of the SuperMega people that messaged Rav was Jim, and he just sent him a slanty face. He sent him this.
Oh, a slanty face?
This.
I thought she was saying something obscenely racist.
It's like a reply to his Instagram story saying we got robbed. I literally never would expect money, shelter, anything, but at least to like reach out as a friend and be like, you good? I literally was there when he found out Jackson stole a shit ton of money from him, and I was constantly asking him, what's wrong? Are you good? Are you okay? The stuff we get robbed of: laptop, iPad, work clothes, makeup, toiletries. I'm a model and an artist. Those are all the things that I need to make money in the world.
Model. Come the fuck. Come on.
One was no longer finding a place to live, but rebuying those things so I could make the money to get a place to live. I don't know. Not my proudest moment. Not anything anyone should ever have to go through. And it just is what it is. But the reaction to it didn't need to be the way it was, unfortunately. If anything, it made me realize, like, oh, this is real. Like, they're not fucking around. They don't care. Okay.
They did. They offered you accommodation to the tune of thousands and thousands.
The first place we stayed outside of the Plex was like some rinky-dink hotel in Pasadena. It was like obviously like used for sex trafficking. Like it was a giant master bedroom with a hot tub, and it had a corded phone with the cable.
It was obviously used for sex trafficking because there was a hot tub. If there's one thing sex traffickers love, it's like comfort of the people they're dragging around. They want it to be a magical experience as they're dragging someone to be raped for cash at some dingy shithole, taken by the nice apartment with the hot tub first. Yeah, I'm sure.
Nice, no worries, you're busy people. Glad to hear that you feel like everything's cool, but we have heard / seen things that at times have made us feel otherwise. I feel like a conversation would be good to have to help address any misunderstandings and or grievances that might potentially exist regardless of how small, you know? Besides, we haven't talked in forever. Matt says, I'm not sure what you would have heard or seen otherwise. I'm sorry if anything has come across that way. We have no grievances on our end. At the time, I was mad at Rav for responding this, but now that I look back, it was just because I was scared of making them mad and scaring them off like little birds or something. But Rav was just being playful because he was trying to point out the fact that, well, Ryan hadn't even responded at this point, but Matt was totally avoiding the point of us messaging them, which is the fact that we were like, hey, can we meet up? And Matt's like, I'm doing YouTube. We're all good, man. It's all totally cool. And it's like, that's not an answer. And so I get why Rav felt like that was his only option, because when you're around people like this all the time, you get brain broken into trying to be nice all the time. So I think this was his way of trying to be like playful and nice and bringing up a serious topic, because they're so avoidant that when you...
Being around them damaged me. Would it be fair to describe her as entitled? Would it be reasonable to suggest that's like a huge part of this?
Do stuff like saying, hey, can we have a conversation? They don't respond. And then when they do, it's a throwaway.
Like that, she's treating it like they're trying to manipulate me by being like, no, they're softly telling you to go the fuck away and they don't want anything to do with you. They don't actually want you to do anything other than stay away. But they don't want to be that heavy-handed.
Response that, you know, they're doing stuff they would be doing even if you hadn't messaged them. I'm doing work, guys. Congrats. So Ryan gets really real with it the next day at 5 p.m. just about. They had to spend a day and a half chewing on this. The way these guys like do group chats is they all go in the office together and say, and like play football and like make a plan and like who's doing good cop, bad cop ass shit. Very manipulative. But how else do you think they would have had Jim message me with Matt in there? They all work together. Why does Matt need to be in there? Except for a power dynamic. Like they know what they're doing. Ryan says the next day, I don't think it's about that. It's just we're trying to get our lives. I got assaulted, man. Could you guys just like care? Like, why'd you switch up? What happened to keeping him accountable, Ryan? Like, this year's been nothing but drama since the jump. For you, I don't think they relate to anything bad.
They got rid of him at this point, right? They got rid of the guy she alleges did it. And they offered to spend thousands to get her an accommodation on her own away from anyone who could upset her.
All I wanted was them to make a statement, at least just to say that Dawn doesn't work with them anymore, or they've split ways, or however you want to word that. That's such a loose-ended statement. You could be as vague as possible, or you could just straight up say, he assaulted someone. We're not working with him anymore. And then, like, imagine if they did that. I would have no burden of people believing me or not, because if SuperMega said, hey, we're not working with this guy anymore, he assaulted someone, whether or not they name me or not, getting to like say without being scared that something bad is gonna happen to me, that I got assaulted and that like...
Okay. We finally have it. 1.5 hours in. Them cutting all ties with him, not using him for any work anymore isn't enough. Them offering to house her for God knows how many months and letting her stay in their office for free. That's not enough. She needs them to make a statement accusing him of rape. Yeah, no shit, they're not going to do that. On the basis that everyone would then believe her if they said it. And she's complaining about other people being manipulative. Holy fuck. Evil. Okay? Still, yes, retarded. Also evil.
Hey, I gotta take a break from work. I never got to do that. I never got to take a break. All the breaks I took was because I was burnt out and I was suicidal. You know how many times I wanted to like kill myself because of all this shit going on? Like the Dawn thing by itself, I've been assaulted before, unfortunately. It's an experience I myself can handle. But when it has to do with other people and being able to tell how they think of you through their actions, it becomes unavoidable. Like, I don't have to see Dawn anymore. What he did to me, I don't have to think about. But when someone is treating me actively different all the time in front of me, my only friends in LA that my only plan of like staying somewhere, my only like safe place, didn't want to help me, said they did nothing but helped me, and then gaslit me about it and made me homeless. Because like, sure, maybe saying made me homeless is like maybe extreme, but one, how else would you say that? Two, we could have talked.
You said no to the home they offered you. They offered you a home and you said no, and then you fucked around and found out. So Does she think she needs to be treated in the same way as a bird? Like, if you feed a bird, you got to keep feeding it because it will come to rely on you and it'll die if you stop. Is she trying to be like, I count as a dependent now. I am your child. You have to keep providing for me now that you've done it once. You're 27. Reminder, she's 27. Just saying.
I understand this year has been incredibly tough on y'all, and we wholeheartedly don't mean to add onto the stress and anxiety any more than we already have staying at the Plex for as long as we did. The fact that we felt, you can consider this co-wrote, since I was like, every time Rav would send a message in this particular group chat, he was like, this look good. The fact that I get assaulted, tell them about it, and they essentially kick us out, they all but kick us out of their place, and...
How long after? Is she suggesting that if you get harmed, the person whose property it happens in then has to house you forever? Or what the fuck do you mean?
Get suspicious at us being like, hey, we good, to the point where we have to console them about their year being hard. Insane. Like, what are these babies we're talking to? Like...
Ooh. No, ma'am. You don't get to say that, ma'am.
Why do you have to, it's this last sentence, why do you have to console someone for a hard year? What are you, a kid? Like, they got stolen from, right? And we're having to tell this to them right after we got robbed. They're not saying sorry to us. They never said sorry to us, actually. They made fun of us. Strange. It's only okay for you guys to have a hard year. Never, the person who got assaulted or the...
Technically, Ryan said sorry to her a long time ago when she first told him she was assaulted. Right?
And I'm not to say that we're not adults here. We have self-autonomy. But everything I say has an explanation. Every action has a context that comes before it, that had a bad thing that happened before it, that made me react the way it did. What do they have besides Jackson? Like, it was in February, it was almost the end of summer, and they're telling us we've had such a hard year from something that happened in winter, and they just settled it. So, if anything, they should have been happy at this time, but they're just being like, oh, we're so tired, it's not your thing to be tired about. You don't get to be tired about this. This didn't happen to you. Like, who do you think you are to say something like that to someone?
They're trying to get you the fuck out of their life. I think she can't compute that. It's like she is absolutely incapable of recognizing, accepting. Like, her mind would shatter if she accepted that they just wanted her fucking gone. Such that their behavior and the way their relationship doesn't matter because they wanted that gone. They didn't want it at all. So it doesn't matter what your judgment of how it is.
Again, I personally don't think the text messaging is conducive to the best mode of communication when it comes to stuff like this. And if possible, I prefer to do this in person, at the very least via a call. This feels a lot colder and more distant than when it needs to be.
Like when she met the guy who she claims violently sexually assaulted her, what, did she need it to be less cold and distant? She wanted a nice, warm, wholesome confrontation with the rapist.
Why am I being so gentle for people that have never been that gentle for me? I was telling Rav all night about how I wanted to see you, even though I thought I wasn't feeling the best, and how I was hoping...
Never been that gentle for her. She was just showing us how insanely gentle they were, giving her the space to tell them when she'd be comfortable leaving, which, to be fair, they should have expected that her implicit answer would be, never, I want to live here forever. But they gave her the opportunity to leave at her pace. They offered or Matt offered at least, to pay for accommodation to the tune of thousands. They let her stay in the office around the people who were working when obviously they weren't, their presence wasn't conducive to a nice working atmosphere. They let her go on vacations. Yes, she did work, but she wasn't doing work for them. Insane. It's not unexpected or crazy that someone would be like this. The amount of support she's getting is like fucking me up.
I've also contributed to not being available, though, because I've tried to stay out of both your way as much as possible and keep my focus on work, which probably came across as fucking off and not wanting to talk to y'all, and I apologize for that. They have my number.
Were they interpreting other people having shit to do as them being stonewalled? Is that another layer to it? There's such just fucking stoner losers that other people having shit to do came off as them being given the cold shoulder?
As for how we handled this in a corporate head-ass way, you need to understand that this isn't just a friendship issue, but a work issue. You are staying in our place of work. So if you were a better manager and a boss, you would have had an end date for us. Like, that's why we left.
Holy fuck. She complains about them being rough, and then complains about them letting her set her leaving date.
Like I said, the only vague thing we had was like the middle of August, and we had gotten kicked out happily by then, because we were like, we can have our stuff gone. They were like, sure, happy travels, just fine.
Yeah, they said, when can you be out? If you then told them you could be out before then, guess what? You agreed. You agreed to be fucking gone. I don't understand. She's been talking for an hour and 50 minutes. More than an hour and 50 minutes because there are tons of edits in this. How, talking through this, did she never hit a point where she was like, oh God, I'm a moron? There was no moment.
Like, what you expect when someone is like not happy with you saying somewhere is like someone to sit you down and be like, hey, is there like a time you plan on leaving? Not a fucking text message.
So she doesn't have a problem with what they said. She has a problem that they did it by text.
Message with a guy you don't know that well that made out with you and your friend who is not talking. What the fuck am I gonna do in that situation? I mean,
recognize the words they said. So she knows what that message means. She just felt entitled to have it come from a particular person rather than another.
I have nothing to say to any of these people. The only people I wanted to talk to the whole time was Matt and Ryan, and the only reason why they found out that I said anything else besides to them was because Leighton was the only other guy I talked to. But everything's my fault, though. You know, I'm fine with being so fucked up in the head that bad things happen. But I can't understand being so, like, uncared for that as a friend that no one has ever, like, checks in on you. Like, if someone had checked in on me, I think I could have, like, been like, oh, I
They don't care for you as a friend. They want you to fuck off. Maybe they did it first. What is this shit? They didn't treat me like a friend at all. It's as if we were never friends. It's as if they just wanted me gone. Yeah, sounds like it to me too. Why do you, like, what recourse is she expecting? Is she expecting them to suddenly be forced to be her friend now to make up for that?
If you were crashing on my couch at my house, obviously I would talk to you one-on-one. But we saw this as a work-related issue because you're in our office. I just don't think anyone wanted to deal with it alone, and no one wanted to be the bad guy. We're trying to best run our business. I hope you're able to see where we're coming from. Is that why you guys don't work and make videos? Because you're trying to do what's best for your business? Because I definitely see how that's working. I understand that both of you have been through a ton this year, and I really
Bro, is she trying to roast them now?
feel for you. It's been a shitty year for everyone. Just had to add that in. Just about, you know, when it's about you, you don't say anything about me, but when
Yeah, she's been complaining repeatedly that they were ignoring her for their work. Maybe it was hard for them to work with people living in their fucking office.
it's about me, you gotta say something about you. You just have to. We really do care about you as friends. If that hasn't been obvious with the support we've consistently given you by letting us live somewhere that was full of trash and people and no room and making us feel.
They offered you another place to stay and you said no. They offered to house you somewhere else and you said no. You picked the office.
It's very obvious that these messages, you see the time, Friday, 3:18, and Ryan's message were coordinated because Matt's is so long, it seems like it's like half Ryan's words. 3:18, he sends that. 3:25, Ryan sends his response. So they were typing them at the same time. Just obvious what's going on from, like, I just live there. I know what you guys do all day. You're just both sitting in the office looking at each other's phones like, this looks good. Ryan said, don't you think I won't tolerate it being treated like a...
Wait, that's literally what she said she did with Rav. Literally the same word she said she explicitly used.
Child is a little far reaching. Y'all consistently left messes out or in our fridge, parentheses, rotting food in the kitchen and fridge, bags of trash sitting out, etc. It's not about being treated like a child. It's about acting like an adult and respecting the place we were happy to lend to you, which again, is a place of work for 5 other people. Hello? Maybe you shouldn't be inviting people to stay at your work then. Isn't that...
What the fuck? Maybe you shouldn't have invited me to stay there then. They tried not to. This is unbelievable. I don't understand how you can watch this and not hate her. I don't understand how a person can watch this fucking video and not hate her.
Like, your responsibility to make sure that, like, that's something you can handle or not. We did not leave messes in their fridge. I order food at, like, dinner time.
Sure you didn't.
Or later, because I would stay up a lot when no one was around so I could enjoy being normal. Order late night food, fall asleep, take it out the next day. Or, you know what? Fuck it. If it did sit, it sat with the piles of trash that were beyond anything I could ever make myself. I'm talking like...
No, it's over. You did the dirt.
Up to here, like up to my waist, trash cans piled over with trash, more trash. I personally think there's nothing wrong with expecting your friends to not delegate what in my opinion is a simple communication when you see us all the time. I'm sure you didn't mean any harm by it, but it hurt regardless, and I'd be fucking up if I just kept that...
Bro, they don't give a fuck if it hurts you.
To myself. With all that said, I'm very sorry that we put you in the uncomfortable...
You getting your friend to tell us to fuck off really hurt us.
I wish we moved out sooner. I felt incredibly guilty about it from it now because we were. That's part of why we're suicidal, because we're like, why the fuck is like life fucking us to where we're not getting a place now? My ring lights are attracting bugs. We've always given y'all the benefit of the doubt on any and all matters when we weren't sure how you felt. And at the time of reaching out to y'all, we were confident that a conversation would help clear any awkwardness between us. I like to think much of it now has. I hope you feel the same way. And guess what? They didn't respond. You know, the rest is definitely not responding.
Because you're fucking crazy, lady. We're getting into restraining order territory. Okay, maybe not quite, but you get what I'm saying.
Into that. They did not care. We can wrap this up from here, I think. I don't, there's only so much I can talk about. My brain being broken. And I've been doing it for 5 hours. I think I'm running a marathon right now.
She recorded 5 hours. And this is the Omega edited version. It's horrifying that people like this walk among us. Dude, the point at which she's like, man, 5 hours already, time to wind it down, is the point at which there's 16 minutes left, which represents what? Let's say that's like 40 more minutes of recording.
So while we were trying to go get our stuff, they decided that was a good idea to put a ring camera in. So what? I guess we couldn't get our stuff? While we were extremely down bad and homeless, had no things. And when I'm there trying to get a hold of someone because Jim isn't answering me, I checked my text a little late. Matt sent me this. Is this a friend to you? What are you guys doing at the office? Leave the key at the front door. I didn't see these texts until 10 minutes later.
Is that a friend to you? No, they want you fucking gone. You're right. She's right. She's right. Yeah. 2 hours of arguing that, oh, see, they're not really my friend. Like, what do you want people... Yes, you're correct. You're fucking crazy, and you fucked with them. After they offered you all this stuff and gave you all these opportunities. Yes, they're not your friend. You're not their friend. Am I meant to be like, oh, damn, girl, you're right. They're not your friend. And then what? They're not your friend. They should give you stuff now. No. What's the conclusion meant to be?
And within those 10 minutes, I'd already been to the door, and Matt turned on the app from his phone and was like, what are you doing here? So I get scared to shit because I've never seen a ring on this door, and then
I thought I did too much weed, man, and the door was talking to me.
all of a sudden Matt's speaking to me in this crazy rough voice. Don't know if he was lit or what, but it doesn't matter either. It was very crazy. I don't know if he thought it was Rav and he was trying to talk to me like that, or if he was really just, I don't know. It was very weird. So I started freaking out because I was the only one packing because Rav didn't feel comfortable being there. But instead I get freaked out and I just messaged him a bunch. I didn't have anywhere else to get my replacement things sent, so I was still getting that.
Can you imagine you tell some crazy hoe shows up at the door of your office and you're like, what are you doing here? And she's like, runs away and then sends you 500 texts. I would be scared, dude.
Backpacks and work clothes sent to the office. And I was like, hey, I need to pick these up. Next day at almost 7 p.m. When we were gone, he started talking to me more, and I felt like it's easy to be like, oh, we're normal now. Thank you, take care. What's y'all's plans right now? I say, gonna stay at Airbnb to work out while figuring out a living situation. He just didn't respond until I told him you have a 7 days to live dream about him for reference.
Wait, what? 7 days to live dream? Is that like the ring? He didn't respond until I told him, me, fucking insano ho, messaged him saying I had a dream where you died in 7 days. That is a demented face. Good God. Yeah, true. If someone you're actually friends with and you're chill with says that, you'll be like, ha ha ha, what was it like? What was I saying? What crazy things was I saying? But when it's her, that's a scary message to get. That's a spooky message.
The AX SuperMega video I wasn't in I was replaced by the girl he cheated on his girlfriend of 4 years with. So not only did he cheat on his girlfriend and broke up with her, and then she found out after because Jim was living with the new girl. Well, she's still friends with Jim. Like, they're both friends with Jim. He also takes a break with the new girlfriend he's with to basically solicit a sex worker girl that he was into to come live in LA and move from across the US before he decided that he wanted to go back to the girlfriend that he was just with. So if I were him, I would probably be reevaluating my life as well.
It's not something I do, not something I respect or think is great, but he offered to look after a chick. What, be like a sugar daddy to a sex worker? I don't give a fuck. Is she underage or something? I'm assuming she'd mention it if she was, but otherwise. So?
None of this matters to me except for the fact that I can say this. I haven't been able to. That's not fair to me. Why was that okay that I couldn't say anything? Why did so many people allow that? Why did so many people allow you to not say anything?
I don't think she's mentioned anyone asking her not to talk about it. I'm confused. Is her problem that someone didn't force her to make this video?
You know what Matt did before Crater Clash this year? He texted me, "How's Tennessee?" As if he's not the reason I'm there. And when I didn't respond, he took me off his Instagram close friends. Didn't unfollow me. He just like didn't want me to see the stuff he really has to say. Which like, I don't care. It's just like so obvious that like what these guys are doing. They do it at the same time. They do the same kind of stuff. They did it to Rav. They don't ever have intentions of being friends with us ever again. They don't care. They're trying to placate us.
Yeah. You're so right. The thing is, she's so right. You're absolutely correct. It's so obvious to everyone, yeah.
How can I make this up? How can I make so much stuff up? At most, it's like, why did you mention that? Or why did you mention...
I don't know. Maybe by spending 5 hours making shit up and then editing.
I'm not benefiting from not talking about this because you know what that means? When I'm not online and I'm not able to post, I'm not able to do stuff that I tell people that's what they pay me for. You know what happens? People sub to me and people want to spend money and buy stuff from me and they don't get it delivered and they're like, Lex must be like a scammer, or Lex must be like bad at her job, or Lex must be like, why am I subbing to a OnlyFans? Why am I subbing to a Patreon and not getting the things that says it has? This is beyond Don, Matt, Ryan. This is my livelihood. Like, the way I make money currently has been, like, irrevocably changed. I make less than half of what I did last year. And I'm not necessarily being like, I'm fine with working.
She's trying to treat it as if they're attacking her livelihood by stopping her from talking about this, but she never said anything about them stopping her. They didn't do anything to stop her. And also, even if they did, how does that affect her livelihood? I gotta say something as well. I can't help but, unless you're going to get some real creeps, I can't help but think if you're an independent, porn producer, you make your own porn, photos of yourself and stuff, and then your thing is, I was raped and I need money, look at my sexy body. I wouldn't be comfortable. If I was the kind of person who subbed to those things, I can't imagine I'd feel comfortable subbing to hers. It would be like, ugh. It's like, am I doing something wrong? Like, is this a broken, uncomfortable person? I don't feel good about this.
Kelly has a distinct art style. She used to draw in it before. The characters can be drawn differently, and yet you wanted Dawn's from some other artist whose art style is completely different. What did you tell her? What does she think she knows about me that is like damning? Because I assume that's why she unfollowed.
So they can't even maintain their brand because he had some sort of input in the style. They can't have someone else paid to maintain the standard. They have to abandon their art, the art style they use.
She was talking to me last year, told me I'm sorry when my dog died. If you look it up on Twitter, that's the last time she talked to me. And all of a sudden is like acting weird. Like, I know that Kelly and Ryan and Justin all hang out. It doesn't matter. I feel like I'm being taken advantage of for the fact that people don't know my story. And it's not
taken advantage of. What are people getting out of this?
So I don't think it's fair that other people get to talk about what happened to me. And I don't. So I am. And at this rate, it doesn't matter what happens because of it.
Okay, yeah, but how are they talking about what happened to you? It's because you did talk about it. It's something that happened while you were alone with someone. How are they talking about it without you already having talked about it? It doesn't make any sense. From what she's saying here, this last bit, her reasoning, I think I was right when I said the real reason is she sees it spreading more and she's scared and wants to get out in front of it. Spreading with her own, make sure it's her story. Make sure she's in control of how it goes. I'll be fine. I'm just here on the internet calling someone who said they got raped to the retard. I'll be fine. No one could possibly be upset with me, okay? I didn't do anything even slightly wrong or edgy, okay?
They're pretty sure I got everything. Sorry if it was jumbled. My brain is jumbled. At least you know why now.
Well, no, at least I know why now. She's not referring to the assault or anything. She's referring to the massive amount of marijuana use.
Saw me acting any sort of way, you'd be like, of course she's acting. I'm happy now, I think. I don't want to talk to them. I don't want an apology. I just don't want to be around them anymore. They'll probably try and say they did a bunch of stuff and X, Y, and Z, and they tried talking when they did.
Did she just say, I just don't want to be around them anymore? Nah, this is one
all this
broken
stuff.
hoe.
I just showed you a bunch of examples where they just say stuff that sounds nice, so you stop saying hard stuff for them to hear. And my expectation, the only expectation I have is that if they respond to this, it's going to be along those lines. Besides just like, I don't feel that way, which is like, I don't believe you. You're not trustworthy people anymore. So to say that you feel a certain way is not trustable. Like in the same phone call, you're asking me if it was okay to hang out with a guy that sexually assaulted me. Like you're not that guy. You're not the guy that I can trust. You're not one of those. I mean, there's a reason why they made Leighton sign it when they fired him, so we can talk about this that I'm talking about right now. Because they said magnum opus for a reason, baby. Very cool. Magnum opus. Thanks for listening. Hopefully better days are coming up soon.
Damn, what else she do?
Fucked up and took a sip already, but I just realized I've never tried Canada Dry Bold before. And all the regular Canada Dry at Publix was sold out. I get tummy aches a lot, so I need it.
I'm good. All right. That was that. That'll get snipped into a YouTube video. Oh god, I have to fucking watch that again, dude. 3 hours. Wait, we spent 3 hours watching a 2-hour video that was on 1.5 times speed. Oh man.